Okay, good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock. It is always great to see everyone. I am calling the meeting to order. Today is August the 18th. This is our second meeting of the month. Half of the month is gone, so it is good to be seen and also to see back. With that, I am calling the meeting to order, and if we can all bow with me for the invocation, please. Heavenly gracious, loving Father, just once again, we truly thank you for this day and this opportunity that you have given each and every one of us. And Lord, I ask and pray that you continue to allow us to walk in unity, Lord, with this council, that we walk in unity with our department heads, and that we walk in unity, Lord, with every employee of this city, and that we certainly walk in unity as a community. And Lord, I pray and ask that we walk with perfectly the same spirit and mind, Lord, that we are doing the things that are pleasing to you. Lord, I ask that you continue to etch in our hearts as the leaders of this community, as this council, that our hearts are pure and wholesome, and that we realize that you set the example for us to follow, and that is to think of others more than we do ourselves, Lord. And I pray, and I know I pray it constantly, Lord, that this is not about us as individuals. It's about us as a collective team, that we have the same heart and mind and spirit to do those things that are wholesome and pure and good for the right reason, that we do not draw attention to ourselves, but we give attention to this wonderful, outstanding community that you allowed all of us to be a part of. And Lord, I thank you so very, very much for that. I pray, Lord, that you continue to walk with us and guide us and lead us, Lord, that we can still continue in unity, even though we may not always agree. But we thank you, Lord, that we can still walk in unity, and that we disagree in a way that is pleasing to you, because it's not about us, but it's about this community. It's about these workers. It's about these department heads. And we are the council that has the sacrificial spirit to give it all for the sake of this community. We thank you and we love you. In your son's name we pray. Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
If we can stand, and if everyone can see the flag, I will lead us with the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Again, thank everyone for being here on this call. We'll go ahead and proceed with the agenda, but before we do, Council, Melanie is not here today, so I would like to ask for a motion to appoint Shannon Davis as the acting city clerk this morning in place of Melanie. May I have a motion to approve that appointment?
Motion at this time.
I have a motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Who was that? I heard two voices. That was you, Mrs. Johnson?
Johnson, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We have the motion and a second. Call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, proceeding on, Council, at this time, you've heard me state it several times, and we've stated several times, one of the highlights, and we can't say thank you enough. So with that being said, at this time, I'd like to call on our City Manager, Wallace Hunter, and our HR Director, Stephanie Chastain, for the presentations. We do not have a proclamation, but a presentation for the employee service recognition through our Zoom. Mr. Hunter and Mrs. Chastain.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's been a minute since we've done this. COVID hit back in March, and we were saving these up, hoping to get back to some normalcy. But here we are almost 6 months into the pandemic, and for right now, it seems like this is a new normal. So we decided to go ahead and proceed and invite those employees onto Zoom so that we can publicly thank them for their service and dedication to the city. So we got quite a few. I split them up by department, so we'll have several departments this council meeting and several departments next council meeting. So our first one that I'd like to recognize is Shannon Davis with City Clerk's Office. She got her 5 years of service here recently. So
Congratulations, Shannon.
yeah, so we'd like to congratulate her and thank her for everything she does. And Shannon, if you'd like to share a few words, you're more than welcome to.
I sure will. One word that stands out for me today, and that's blessed. And I say that because I have a wonderful group of people that I work with. I work under great leadership coming from Mr. Hunter, Mayor and Council, and the department heads. And I just want to take time out to say thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of your team. And I just pray that God gives me 25, 30 more years to go with you all.
All right. We ain't mad at you.
That's
Congratulations.
good. Keep pushing.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
All right.
My district girl.
That's right.
Y'all can't have it.
All right. And I don't see Miss Sherry on here.
Right here.
She's right there. Okay. Hey,
Hey,
Miss
Sherry.
Sherry.
There she is.
Yeah, and Miss Sherry also got her 5 years of service here with us in the last few months. So, so her and Shannon started right about the same time and have worked real well together. So, congratulations, Miss Sherry, for getting your 5-year recognition. And if you'd like to say a few words.
I am grateful to be here. It's been a great learning process, and you all do a wonderful job taking care of the city.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Shannon. Thank you all. We appreciate you all.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Miss Sherry.
Thank you.
Y'all team up with your 5 years apiece, and you ain't got but 10 to go. Y'all got to team up, though.
With our Economic Development Office, we have Jennifer Lohman, who recently got her 10-year anniversary. So I see she's on here on Sean. So congratulations to you, Jennifer, and reaching this milestone. And if you'd like to say a few words, you're more than welcome to.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just want to say, that first of all, let me just say thank God for allowing me to accomplish this 10 years because it wasn't on my own. And I want to thank the Mayor Council and Mr. Hunter and Sean Culligan, my manager. It has been a pleasure to work with the city staff, every department. I love every department. This is my family. All of the city employees, you're my family. And I think sometimes they laugh at me because even the officers are driving and I'm throwing my hand up waving and they're probably like, what in the world is that? But when you work in a place for so long with so many people, they become your family because we're all together literally almost all of the day. And so let me say this, when I look at my sick leave, I can only look back and say, God, thank you that I'm able to work every day with my health and strength. And I pray that he give me 10, 15, 20 more years here with the city of Phoenix City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. With our library, we have Michael Lucas, who has 5 years of service that he's reached here in the last few months. So congratulations to you, Michael. And if you'd like to say a few words, I will, you definitely have that opportunity.
I'd like to say thank all of you. They definitely stuck with me through going to school and now going back to school. So I'm just glad I've actually managed to go to school and work here for 5 years.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
so much.
All right. And then we'll move on to our utilities department. We have Ernest Whitley. And I see him there. Hey, Ernest, how are you? Got your 10 years of service here in the last few months. So congratulations on that. And if you'd like to say a few words, we'll give you that opportunity.
Yes, man. I got I first hired here. I didn't know how long I was going to be here, but I plan on being here for a long time. But now I see I made it 10 years, and I feel good about it. And I am excited about it and plan on doing some more years and do the best I can in the utility department.
Well, the hay's in the barn now. You there now. And the
Yes,
lights
sir.
in the tunnel. Just keep pushing on.
I'm going to try to keep pushing on.
Keep
I
pushing
thank
on.
God for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ernest.
Thank you.
All right. Also with our utilities department, we have John Pinkney.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good
John.
morning.
So
Good morning.
John also recently recognized his 10 years of service with the city. So John, I will let you take a moment and say a few words if you'd like.
10 years is a good start. I really thoroughly enjoy what I do, and I'm glad I'm here with the city.
It's good.
Well, we certainly appreciate you. And like I just told him, the hay's in the barn for you. The lights in the tunnel. Just
That's right.
It's down here now for you.
Well, I don't know, like 30s. I'm kind of in the middle.
Well, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thanks, council.
Thank you, John.
All right. Also with our utilities department, John Spraggins had his 10-year employment anniversary. So I see him on there. So congratulations to you, John, for reaching that milestone. And I'll let you say a few words.
Thank you. I'm grateful to God for giving me the ability and the health and opportunity to work here with and learn from people here that are skilled and talented and work hard to improve this community that the mayor spoke of, and like these that are speaking here today and being recognized today. So I thank y'all for just this opportunity to work with the city.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, John. All right. And then our big one for the utilities department is our water plant superintendent, Mike Smizik. And he reached his 25-year employment anniversary here in the last couple of months. So congratulations to you, Mike. I see you on there. So if you'd like to say a few words, you're more than welcome to.
25 years.
It's been a great experience, and I hope this is just midway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your continued service. 25 years.
That's a long time.
You're raking up the straws now. You're raking up the straws from the bale. So to continue to push on, and thank you so much for your service. Okay.
Thank you.
And then we have with our fire department, Captain James Anthony, who reached his 30-year employment milestone this month. And he is going to be retiring and leaving us at the end of the month and enjoying his retirement. So I can see him sitting out on his front porch now. I'm sure he'll be doing a lot more of that come next month. So Captain Anthony, thank you for your 30 years. And I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few words.
Okay, I'm pleased to be here for 30 years with the city. It's been a good run. Had some good times, bad times. So all been pretty good overall, though. I know Mr. Hunter, we sort of come in. He was a little bit ahead of me, but I went through the fire department with him pretty good. And I know you're all scared. You're scared. I know because I'm leaving. But there are some people that's almost as good as me on the fire department. So y'all don't be scared. There are some more people. But I want to tell you I appreciate everything that the city's done for me over time, and I guess I'm looking forward to retirement. But it's bittersweet when you get to that point. You hate to leave, good people, but I guess time to go. I appreciate everything the city's done.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony, James. You've had to persevere, and we certainly appreciate you for that. And I like what you said. They're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. All those years of experience. So we truly thank you for what you've done in giving of yourself. Thanks so much.
Good job, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank
you all.
you.
We were
All right.
fortunate to have.
Thank you.
And we also had firefighter Matt Johnston with 5 years of service, but he was not able to join us. I am truly thankful for those of you who were able to. This went smoother than I could ever anticipate that it would. And I appreciate y'all taking the time and joining us and letting us thank you for everything that you have done thus far and up to this point in your career for our citizens. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you all so much. 90 years of experience there. So we're grateful for that. A lot of experience. Thank each and every one of you all. We appreciate you all. And Mr. Anthony, make sure you enjoy your vacation, okay?
Thank you.
Permanent vacation.
They had 115 years of total experience, Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you all so very much.
Jimmy, I'll get to see you before you go.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Is that it, Ms. Chastain? Stephanie?
Yes, that's everything, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We will proceed on the city clerk. Council, at this time, I'd like to call for a motion for approval of the August the 3rd work session as well as August the 4th council meeting. And if it's the pleasure of the council, we'll take these in one vote. So at this time, council, I'd like to call for a motion for the approval of the work session on the 3rd of this month, as well as the council meeting on the 4th of this month. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion by Mr. Gordon. May I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Johnson. Okay, call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, council, at this time, also, I would like to call for a motion for the approval of the call meeting minutes on August the 6th for the budget public hearing. May I have a motion to approve our budget hearing that was held on the 6th of this month? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right. Motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on, council. At this time, I would like to ask, is there any unfinished business at this time? Okay, there not being any, we will proceed with the resolutions. And also on the administration, we have a resolution in reference to approving the budget for the 2021 fiscal year. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas Resolution number 2020-167 approved a public notice which was published in the Citizen News of East Alabama newspaper on Thursday, July 16th, 2020, and Thursday, July 23rd, 2020, in reference to a public hearing on the 2020-2021 proposed budget for the general fund and the utilities fund. And whereas a public hearing was held on August 6, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. at the Martin Idle Hour Park Community Center, located at 3743 Moon Lake Drive, Phenix City, Alabama, on the 2020-2021 proposed budget for the general fund and the utilities budget. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the 2020-2021 budget for the general fund and the utilities fund is approved as proposed. A summary of the 2020-2021 proposed budget is hereby attached and made a part of this resolution. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Davis. Council, we've all heard the resolution. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Day, and that's the second, Mr. Bailey or Mr. Gordy?
It was Ms. Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ms.
Johnson.
All right, I'm sorry. I have a motion by Mr. Day and we have a second by Mrs. Johnson. Any comments or discussion? Okay, Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Council on Administration, we have a resolution in reference to the adopting an annual transportation plan. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the 2019 Alabama Legislature has passed House Bill 2, which levied on additional excise tax on gasoline and diesel fuel. And whereas the city of Phenix City will receive a portion of said tax, which will be deposited into a separate fund. And whereas these funds will be solely dedicated to the maintenance, improvement, replacement, and construction of roads as mandated by House Bill 2. And whereas the city will adopt an annual transportation plan no later than August 31st, 2020, and implement it during the next fiscal year based on an estimate of revenues. Now therefore, be it resolved that the city of Phenix City intends to rehabilitate, resurface Dobbs Drive with the anticipated $151,448 received from said tax and $348,552 of existing gas tax for an estimated total cost of $500,000. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Council, we've all heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Bailey. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Gordon. Okay, we have the motion and a second. Are there any comments or discussion?
Just one brief comment, Mayor, just for clarification. Not that the city is separating these funds that is coming from House Bill 2. It was stipulated in the bill itself that required us to have a separate account for these funds. And just again, just to make sure.
Yes.
Just to that what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am. It was specifically stated in that bill that those funds had to be put into a separate fund.
Okay.
Account.
And Dobbs Drive will be the first road project from this bill. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have not expended any of those funds. Currently, we are planning on using it all for Dobbs Drive.
Okay, thank you, Angel. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, sir. I noticed it's been said that this was stimulate for Dobbs Drive, but my question come in this sense, Mayor. These funds, I know it for road project improvement, has nothing to do with the project over there on Cutright Road and Overlacker Road. Is that right?
No, yes, that is correct. That's totally different. Part of that is the Alabama Department of Transportation alone with us with them.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, any other comments or discussion? If not, call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, proceeding on administration. Council, we have a resolution in reference to make an application to the Bureau of Justice Assistant for the 2020 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, known as JAG, for purchasing equipment for the police department. We had the first reading on the 4th of this month. We will not have to reread it again, but at this time, Council, I would like to declare this as a public hearing. If anyone is joining us, I am turning the phone up here in my office, and I will turn it down afterwards. But at this time, I am declaring this as a public hearing. And if there's anyone that would like to call in reference to this grant, please feel free to do so at 334-448-2704. That's the phone number in this office that I am in, and I am turning it up. So if there's anyone out there who would like to address this council in reference to this grant, feel free to call us at 334-448-2704. I am declaring this as a public hearing. We'll give them a few minutes.
If I could, while they're waiting for anybody to call, as the grant recipient for this particular?
Again, that number is 334-448-2704.
Mayor, I think Chief wanted to make a statement as we was waiting.
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
As we wait for the, if anybody calls in, this public hearing is a requirement for this grant, just as transparency to let the public know that, you know, they always have a voice about how we spend grant funds that are granted from the federal government. So even after this hearing is closed, they can continue to call my office up until we expend the funds. This is a grant that we are gifted every year from the federal government. This is your tax dollars, your federal tax dollars that comes back to the city to help us procure equipment and equipment that we're able to use to further our crime fighting efforts here in the city. This year's grant is going to be expended by the city. As you well know, sometimes we have to share this grant with the county. So last year the grant went to the county and they procured equipment, safety equipment for their special response team. That's the grant that we're currently under now. This year's grant, this $18,998 will be going to the city, and we'll use this money this year to upgrade our fingerprint database and technology that helps us solve property crimes and other crimes in the city. This database will expand through other jurisdictions so that we can share our fingerprint data, and they can, of course, share theirs with us to help us solve more crimes. So that's what we recommend to spend the money on this year. Again, if there's anybody in the community that has other ideas or other recommendations, we open that up for them to call in, and we'll take those under advisement. But that's the purpose of this grant, is to help us procure equipment that otherwise we may not be able to either afford or procure quickly enough. And again, it helps us move the department forward in both technology and assistance in that way. So if there's any questions, Council, or.
Okay, thank you, Chief. We'll give it a few more seconds to see if anyone would call in. Again, the number is 334-448-2704. Okay. Since there's no one that has stepped forward to call in reference to this public hearing, I am declaring this public hearing closed. And at this time, I will ask for the clerk to read this resolution. Mrs. Davis.
Okay. Whereas the United States Federal Government Bureau of Justice Assistance, through the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, JAG program, fiscal year 2020, local formula solicitation under the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1986, PL 90-351 as amended, and other appropriate federal laws, have made available $18,998 in funds for local solicitation. And whereas the Phoenix City Police Department, hereinafter referred to as applicant, is of the opinion that it would be beneficial to make application for such assistance. And whereas said applicant agrees to be accountable for providing the cash match toward the total cost of said project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama, that the mayor and city manager as authorizing officials and Raymond J. Smith as chief of police are hereby authorized and directed to make application to the Bureau of the Justice Assistant for the 2020 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, local solicitation for said financial assistance. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Davis. Council, we've all heard the reading of the resolution. At this time, I would like to call for a motion for the approval of that resolution as well as the approval of this public notice. May I have a motion for the approval?
Off motion at this time, Mayor.
Okay, that's a motion for the approval of the resolution and public notice.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion, Council. At this time, I'd like to ask for a second. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gordy?
Hmm?
Was that you, Mr. Gordy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. We have the motion and the second. Any comments or discussion? Okay. Not, Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on, council. On administration, we have a resolution in reference to accepting the dedication of an easement of public utilities on a plat of property division for lots 6, 7, and 8, Block A, addition to Jonella subdivision located in section 28, Township 17 North, Range 30 East, Phenix City, Russell County, Alabama. Fernando Juarez and Maria Guadalupe Sanchez de la Rosa, owners. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the Phoenix City Planning Commission has determined that it is in the best interest of the city to accept the dedication of an easement for access to and maintenance of public utilities as dedicated by the plat of property division for lot 6, 7, and 8, Block A, addition to Janella subdivision, located in section 28, Township 17 North, Range 30 East, Phoenix City, Russell County, Alabama, dated August 5th, 2020, prepared by Eddie A. Eubanks, registered land surveyor. And whereas the owners of said property, Fernando Juarez and Maria Guadalupe Sanchez de la Rosa, desires to dedicate the same to the city of Phoenix City. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama, does hereby accept the dedication of said easement for public utilities as shown on the above referenced administrative replat. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Kind of a little tongue twister there. Isn't it?
It is.
You did good. Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Johnson. May I have a second?
Second. It doesn't matter. It don't matter.
Who was that, Mr. Gordy or Mr. Bailey? They beat you.
Bailey.
Mr. Bailey. We have the motion and the second. Do you have that, Mrs. Davis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so council, at this time, are there any comments or discussion?
Yes, Mayor, we realized that we elaborate on this project the last time, but I want somebody to elaborate on this project behalf of the city of Phoenix City and tell it why it's so important that we get this, I'm gonna call it rider into this area because of the utilities going through there. And I'm assuming that we can go on that project, go through that area anytime without being sued and stuff like that. I want somebody to elaborate to our citizens why it's so important that we take this avenue to do that.
All right. Gail, Mr. Hunter.
Steve, that may be best for you since it is a public utility easement.
Sorry, I had to get the unmute off. It's just an easement that we need to help improve our efficiency of our, we face this issue, every now and then where we have difficulty getting to a particular line or having access to maintain our mains. And we occasionally, have to come in and make changes and improvements. And of course, anytime we have new development, we require that the area that the developer provide us with the easements and the access so that we can properly maintain our area and get into it. Like Mr. Day said, you don't want to go in and be sued for damaging, property that that somebody else, has built that might be damaged when you have to go in and repair the utility systems that exist there. And if somebody builds into the right of way or anything of that nature, there's always the risk that that property might be damaged, and it should not be the city's responsibility to have to fix that.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. The reason I asked that question, I don't know if you guys remember this a while back, right after I came on board as a council. I'm gonna call it subdivision name, but I'm not gonna call it person name. Down in Croy Park, when all that rain came, we had a pond behind this particular citizen house. And she said she would not allow the city to go through her property to get this prepared. And we said to her, ma'am, there's nothing we can do about that. So this is very important. The easement is very important that the city are able to get in there and do what they have to do. Thank you very much, sir.
No, let's clarify something so we don't get the people confused out there that's viewing us. It's a difference in an easement and a right of way. And it's showing up a difference when someone else property is infringing on someone else's. That's a civil matter when you're dealing with that. But when you're dealing with easements, that's just where you can go in and work. That particular property still belongs to the residents that is owned, that's adjoining to that. So they're responsible for removal of upkeep of that particular property. When you're dealing with rights of ways, when you're coming in, that's different things that belong to the city also to work within, but the city does work on those when they have notification of that particular area. Am I correct in that, Angel?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's the way it works. So it's sometimes you have some confusion in what an easement is and what our rights of ways are. It's different the way we proceed and the manner that we proceed in doing the work in those particular areas.
Thank you for clarifying that for me, Mr. Hunter. I remember that down in Troy Park, we had this stuff going on down there. As I stated a few minutes ago, it was like a lake behind this particular individual house. But thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? If not, call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, council, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing and directing the mayor and city manager to sign change order number 1 with Harrington Paint Company in the amount of $6,700 to prep LVP flooring and upgrade interior LED lighting at the Art Center. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the city of Phoenix City, Alabama, in resolution 2020-175 dated July 7th, 2020, contracted services of Harrington Paint Company to paint and renovate the Art Center building in the amount of $34,700. And whereas it has been determined that a change order is deemed necessary, more specifically as follows. Change order number 1, LVP flooring prep, addition $1,500. 2, upgrade interior LED lighting, an addition $5,200. Total amount of change order number 1, $6,700. Whereas such a change order would result in a contractual adjustment of $6,700 and causing the contractual amount to be $41,400. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama, that the mayor and city manager are hereby authorized and directed to sign the change order number 1 contract documents with Harrington Paint Company for the above referenced project. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davis. Council, we have all heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Gordon. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. Comments or discussion?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question, Mayor. On as we look at this, when this bid was out there, I think it was the lowest bidder, $34,700, and I realized that addition has been added to that. When they bid for this, that was not. In other words, that was not included.
This is not on them, Mr. Day. This is on us. When you start repairing things that's older, you're gonna find something. You will see another change order coming also with this particular project. When we budget and put something together, we bid it out and you take a look, but unforeseen things that you're dealing with older property, same way we had Central Activity Center, same way we had on several projects that we have, because we're having a meeting today at 2 o'clock dealing with this project. And there's some other things that I've already seen on there today that's come about. When you start the beautification program, you look at it, and when they start taking things loose, you see some other stuff that may get damaged or was worse than it was. But we made sure we had the funding to cover all of that already. So change orders are necessary sometimes. I know people may not like them at times, but when you're dealing with older properties that we have in this city, it's something that we make sure we're ahead of the game on. So that's why you're seeing those, and you will see another one coming.
Okay. But I look at they are the lower bidder anyway. Okay. Thank you, sir.
That portion don't have anything. This is on, I take responsibility for this. This is on the things that we're seeing that we changed, that they modified, that we look with having that little bid too. It also gave us some of the revenue that we was expecting to spending that we had extra on, give us the opportunity to do these other things. It wasn't,
Okay.
And even let me say this, Mr. Day and Mr. Hunter, that I've experienced where you've had change order with projects coming out of the ground brand new, because
that's correct.
The organization may want to do something differently, but they have already budgeted for that. So this is something that's not untypical, particularly with older property, but I've experienced it even with new properties coming up out of the ground. So as long as we're in the budget, then we just appreciate the stewardship of the finance department and Mr. Hunter also.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or discussion?
Yes, Mayor, please. Yeah,
Yes,
well, you're
sir.
talking about a building up at Isle Park that's probably 65 years old or older. So it's had a lot of different changes over the years, and some things have to be changed back maybe like they were years ago. So a lot of this stuff is unforeseen till they actually get in there working. But I'd just like to say thank you to both the companies that turned in the bids. They were both local companies. And I just want everybody to realize that, we've had a lot of static before that we don't reach out to local companies, but we do. And I just want to thank both of them for turning in a bid, and just say thank you to anybody that is interested enough to turn in bids to our city. As long as you're responsible, you meet the criteria, we'll look at your bids. We do not prefer to go out of town like some people have stated in the past. We do prefer to stay right here in town and keep our tax money working right here in our city amongst their employees who will spend their money that they get off this job right back in our city, where we can regain some of that tax money back. So that's the way I look at it, and I do thank both the companies for putting in the orders and putting in the bids for it.
I'd like to pick it back on what Councilmember Bailey stated. That is so true, Mr. Bailey. And I remember in the past, they are saying that we are not doing a business with our folks here that in town. And, that's been said in the past, but we are doing business with those folks that meet the criteria that live here in the city of Phoenix City. Thank you for that, Mr. Bailey.
When people make remarks, they got to make sure they're wholesome in the remarks that they make. If you got people that making those remarks at the same time, are those people spending their money in the city? Do those people who are saying that live in the city? That's why Albany and Opelika, as far as their workers, that's why they have a tax on workers to work there. If you work in that city and you take money out of that city, but you spend it somewhere else, you pay that occupational tax. Now, which way do people want it? It could be one way or the other, but when they make those remarks and say things which was unfounded and wasn't true at that particular time, and when we saying this on the air, people can get confused of was we doing something like that or were we not? No, it's how competitive you're gonna be when you're bidding on these different projects, or you're gonna work hard for your hometown also. You're getting something, you gotta give a little too, and you gotta be competitive with that. But it's different ways, and people form it up different ways in different cities. And that's why people got to know the whole story before they start putting misinformation out there.
Thank you. That's right.
Yeah. I've said before, and I will continue to say, and you all heard me say this, the city is a business. We follow the right bid process by the law, by the state of Alabama. And whoever comes in at the lowest bid that meets the specs, whether they're in town or out of town, we have the fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for this community as far as the low bidder. It's business. We certainly appreciate, as Mr. Daly has eloquently said, we want to do business with people in our community. Business is here. However, we have a fiduciary responsibility from a financial standpoint to make sure we are doing things that are best for the taxpayers' money. So I say that to say all this. If we put the bids out under the state of Alabama laws, if they come in at the lowest bid that meet the specs and they're not from our community, it's all business. So we don't want anybody trying to beat us up or say this or that, but we have to be stewards of this money. And that's what we've done. I really want to commend the council and Mr. Hunter and their team for making sure we follow that. And we can always show the documentation to show where we've been wholesome with that. So thank you all for that. At this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
And next on the administration, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing an encroachment on city right-of-way on the corner of 12th Avenue and 14th Place to the Phoenix City Housing Authority. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas it is the desire of the Phoenix City Housing Authority to construct a park on a lot located at the corner of 12th Avenue and 14th Place. And whereas due to the limited size of the lot, the construction of a portion of concrete sidewalk with appurtenance with encroach onto city right-of-way, and with the understanding that any maintenance or repairs that may be required in the future will not be the responsibility of the city. And now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama, does hereby authorize the Phoenix City Housing Authority to construct said concrete sidewalk with appurtenances within the right-of-way at the above described location. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama, that the right-of-ways are subject to reversion rights, and that the mayor and city manager are hereby authorized and directed to execute on behalf of the City of Phoenix City the necessary documents to revoke said encroachments if deemed necessary in the future. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Gordon. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. Okay. Comments or discussion? Council.
Yes, Mayor, as I look at this drawing here and I look at that, I know exactly what the area is there, where they come in, I believe 13 and 12th Street right there, where it come in together there. Is that going to be sufficient for a park as I look at this drawing here? I would like for Mr. Hunter or somebody to elaborate for the citizen of Phoenix City, let them know that the city is not going to be responsible for this park.
Mr. Day, that's property belongs to the Housing Authority, which is, Housing Authority is an independent agency from us. If they would have came through the first way and made sure that they've got permission to do this, we wouldn't be going through this. We had to stop them from working because, you know, they got into the city's right of way and they had to come back and do it the proper way. Our building department found that they was doing something that they hadn't gotten correct permission for, so they did their job in stopping them from doing that. When we work with people through the city or people work with our different departments, they make sure through finance that these people have a business license or gone through the proper procedures before they can start work within the city. Ms. Mary Mayrose and the Housing Authority didn't do that. They should have checked to make sure that these people had went through before they started any work, and it never would have stopped. But they have a nice design. I wish the best for the Housing Authority and want them, because all of us are one big team in the city and trying to make sure, but we have to make sure we follow the right procedures. But the design and everything, it looked like it's going to be real nice. The situation was that they just didn't go through the proper procedures. So we get this taken care and done, and they could proceed with what they was doing.
Yeah, Mr. Hunter, thank you for elaborating on that for the citizens of Phoenix City, because what we, we have done this in the past. 8 years I've been on the council, try to do things right, from the beginning. Because we have inherited some things that were not done right in the past. So thank you for that, and thank you for elaborating that for our citizens of Phoenix City. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to also thank you, Mr. Hunter. And I think the one other thing I'd like to just mention is for any type of business partner and even citizens to undermine the process and that we face, the process and the practices that we have within the city charter. Don't try to undermine that, as well as don't try to undermine the council and the plans that the city may have in part of a revitalization of our community. Because again, we're one community And we are all seeking the same objective, is to make sure that every citizen, every entity that is within our community can be successful. And so once everyone understands that, I think we can continue to be the great city that we are. So thank you for clarifying that and getting that information out there, because it is important that each one of us as we share this community understand that we have processes in place, and everyone must follow them.
All right, thank you all. At this time, council like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, council on the building department. We have a resolution and public notice in reference to setting public hearing dates and fixing demolition costs associated with the following properties located in Phenix City at 1304 17th Court, Phenix City, Alabama. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama has been informed by the building official of the city that a substandard structure located at 1304 17th Court, Phenix City, Alabama was in need of demolition or removal. And whereas the City of Phenix City, Alabama has solicited sealed bids as required by Alabama law, and the apparent low bidder meeting the specifications required for the demolition of the substandard structure was J&J Land Development, Inc. The bid and dumping fees being $6,000, and the demolition and final inspection being completed on the 31st day of July 2020. And whereas the city is required by law to give notice by certified or registered mail to the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes before the final fixing of costs, and a copy of the resolution is to be published in the Citizen of East Alabama, a newspaper of local and general publication in Russell County, Alabama. And whereas the building official of the City of Phenix City, Alabama was authorized to proceed with the demolition and or removal of the substandard structure with the apparent low bidder at the approved bid price. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama as follows. 1, that the city clerk give notice by certified or registered mail to the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes, and a copy of this resolution be published in the Citizen of East Alabama newspaper one time before the final fixing of costs and establishment of a special assessment upon the property as required by law. 2, that the date for fixing of costs before the City Council shall be September 15th, 2020 at 9:00 a.m. in the council chambers at City Hall or by platform Zoom. 3, that at such public hearing, any person interested in this property, as well as the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes, should appear and give reason, if any, why the City Council should not establish a special assessment upon the property for the cost of demolition and removal of the substandard structure, which the owner of the property had either failed or refused to do after it had become a public danger or health hazard. 4, the sum of $6,000 shall be levied against the property located at 1304 17th Court, Phenix City, Alabama, as a special assessment and shall constitute a lien against the property to be collected through the Revenue Commissioner's Office for Russell County, Alabama. The council notes that the parcel identification number of said property is 05-202-201-042-000. 5, that the property owners as shown on the tax records of Russell County, Alabama is Jimmy L. Tucker, 2019 tax, P.O. Box 591, Hurtsboro, Alabama, 36860. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August, 2020. Public notice reads as follows. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama will meet on September 15th, 2020 at 9:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the council chambers 1111 Broad Street, or by platform Zoom, to consider the fixing of costs incurred by the City of Phoenix City for the demolition and or removal of substandard building or structure located at 1304 17th Court, Phoenix City, Alabama. Any person, firm, or corporation having any interest in the above described property should appear before council at the aforementioned time and place if they have any objections as to why the fixing of costs for the removal of the substandard building or structure should not be assessed as a lien against the property taxes upon which the substandard building or structure was located. This the 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Council, each of us have heard the reading of the resolution as well as the public notice. I will ask the council at your pleasure that we take the resolution as well as the public notice in one vote, okay? So with that said, I'd like to call for a motion for the approval of this resolution as well as the public notice. Have a motion
to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. We have the motion and second. Any comments or discussion?
I'd just like to say one thing if I can, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people get upset, when this is done, but, we have to do things subject to this throughout the whole city, not just District 3 or District 2 or District 1. It's all three districts. But we get a lot of people that want to know how come, we do this in such a fashion that it seems fast to them. But I'd like to, if I could get Gil or someone to elaborate on this. This probably takes, a year or more to get to this final point?
I don't have the dates in front of me, but we've been working on this particular house right here for, I'd say 3 years.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make. This is not an overnight thing that the city comes to. This is a long drawn out ordeal. Homeowners, property owners are given multiple chances to work with the city, come up with a plan that the city can work with them. I know we've got properties like that we're doing that now with. So I just want all the people to understand, this is done to make the neighborhoods cleaner, the city cleaner. The neighbors around these places appreciate this when this is done. It's not something that we enjoy doing, but it is part of, like the mayor says, running a city. It is part of what has to be done. And, it's not something that any of us enjoy, including, the people that, make the decision for the city to do this, to bring it to us as a resolution form. So just want the people out there and the citizens to realize that this doesn't happen overnight. It's a long drawn out ordeal. And just, work with us when you can, come up with a plan as others are doing. But when you come up with a plan, you got to follow through with the plan. You can't just tell the city you're going to do something like this, and then all of a sudden you drop the ball and you don't follow through, because I know that does happen. And so we don't need that to get out that we're trying to do this overnight, because we're not.
Gil,
Yes.
will you go back a second there? But the question you asked, Mr. Bailey, is a real good question, but it's a four-phase process to this. Gil, when you start at a house, not this particular one, just any process that you go through to get to this, because several years we had to put this in place because we had to fund the demolition of these properties that was throughout the city. Some the state owns and some that they don't. There's by individuals that neglected things or things went wrong, and people pass away, and a lot of time family don't keep up properly. But it just don't start from this phase. This was a way that we could get a return on for the city by putting a lien so that we would have the funding to continue to clean up the entire city as we went, because before I became city manager, they had stopped a lot of tearing down houses because they didn't fund that. We didn't fund that in our budgets anymore. So we had to find a way to grow the budget, to have funding in the budget to take care of this. At the same time, how do we get the return for the city's revenue that we're spending? So when you first start your process, Gil, on a property, what's that first phase?
What we do is initially mail the property owner a notice of condemnation.
That's correct.
Okay, we have to give them a certain amount of time. That's typically 45 days, but we have so many properties we're dealing with, they end up getting more than that. And then it goes to an abatement board process, and we have to give them 60 days.
Again, since we're dealing with so much volume, that time is a lot longer than that. And then the next step would be council to declare that a public nuisance. And right now with this piece of property, we're trying to recover funds through a tax lien on this property. So, but it's a big process and a time consuming process.
That's correct. It's a lot to it. And you know, it's sometimes people will come in and say that they're gonna clean up the property, they're gonna work on it. We give them an opportunity to do that. So then when they don't do what they say, we start over trying to make sure it gets done. So it's a tough thing, but we had to go through the process, like I say, of trying to get the return when we had to fund tearing it down, hauling it away, you know, and paying the people for that. And that gave us the ability to do more structures. So that's why we had to put that in place.
And we've been, I add something about this real quickly from a legal standpoint. I just wanted to say that the building department does an excellent job of notifying people and keeping them in the loop along the way. We've had a couple of folks come in sometime and say they weren't notified, and it turns out that they were notified multiple times. The other thing about these properties, of course, is it's not only an aesthetic issue, it's a public safety issue. And so I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents worth. We've had to litigate a couple of these, and it was no problem litigating them because we had evidence of notice all along the way. People get noticed by certified mail. There's things posted on the building, photographs are taken of it. So it's all done correctly, and I just want to compliment the building department on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Hunter, as I listened very diligent what is being said about those properties. Now I'm gonna share this with the council. Just this week, a certain individual called and talk about those houses down in District 3. And they talk about 20 minutes about we are not doing anything about taking down those houses. Here's what I said to them, Mr. Hunter. I said, there's a process to go through. It probably take anywhere from 90 days to 6 months, maybe a year. I said, it's not done overnight. And I want to thank you, Mr. Hunter and Gil, and those that elaborate on that. I hope they'll listen to what is being said and how long does it take to get these houses taken down. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. At this time, council, we have the motion and the second. I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lowe?
Yes. Okay, proceeding on, council. Next on the engineering department, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to enter into a contract agreement with Tip Top Masonry to repair burial plots, walls, and coping of Big Pine Grove Cemetery in an amount not to exceed $13,300. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the city of Phenix City wishes to continue with its ongoing cemetery repair plan. And whereas the city has completed the repair and replacement of a large number of damaged vault covers and now needs to focus on the repair of burial plot walls and copings, beginning with Big Pine Grove Cemetery, which is in the most need of repairs of all the city's cemeteries. And whereas the city cemetery division solicited and received 3 quotes for the above described work with Tip Top Masonry, providing the lowest responsible quote in the amount of $13,300. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, authorize the mayor and city manager to enter into an agreement with Tip Top Masonry for the above referenced repairs in an amount not to exceed $13,300, passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davis. Council, we've all heard the resolution. May I have a motion for approval, please? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mrs. Johnson.
Second.
Second, Mr. Davis. Comments or discussion?
Again, Mayor, just like to say this is again another local company that took time to bid and received the bid, being the qualified lowest bidder that could provide the job and do it correctly. So again, please, local people, bid on these contracts when they come available. You can see today in today's council meeting that, you know, local companies get these bids a lot of times. So do what the mayor says. Put in your bid, be discreet with it, show it everything above board, and, you know, and we're going to go with the most qualified lowest bidder. And if you're the qualified lowest bidder, you're going to receive the bid. So, exactly. You know, that's what we have to do. And I just applaud the local companies to take time to do this, and just continue on, please, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Mayor, may I add one other thing? I did have an opportunity. I was in that area on yesterday evening, and I don't think anyone is still being buried in that cemetery, but Big Pine Grove Cemetery is in need of a lot of repair. So it was good that the city identified those issues and have the ability to repair them, because those are people, loved ones that have been buried there. So it is good, but at the same time, like I said, these older cemeteries, and what the city had done in the past is to acquire these cemeteries, to maintain them. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment, and we're you know, glad that I am sharing this community with the other citizens, knowing that our loved ones, where they're buried, is being protected and being cared for. You know, the cemetery, making this part, you know, keeping it up, and it takes a lot of work. So we thank the city and our citizens for knowing that when the city acquired these cemeteries, that they made a commitment to keep them up. And that's what we're doing. We're making sure that all these, is it what, 10 or 11, Mr. Hunter?
That's correct. You're right, 10.
So all of them are being upkept by the city. And I thank the city for doing such a great job on that.
Thank you all, council. At this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lowe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, council on the fire department. We have a resolution in reference to declaring personal property as surplus and disposing of for the nominal sum of $1 and other valuable consideration to Captain Jimmy Anthony in recognition of his 30 years of public service. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the city of Phenix City, Alabama has items of personal property which are no longer needed for public or municipal purposes. And whereas section 11-43-56 of the Alabama Code of 1975 authorizes the municipal governing body to dispose of unneeded personal property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the following described property is hereby declared surplus to be disposed of for the consideration of the nominal sum of $1 and other valuable considerations to Captain Jimmy Anthony in recognition of his 30 years of public service and dedication to the Phenix City Fire Rescue Services and the citizens of the city of Phenix City. 1. Corinne's helmet, model number 1010 GDR. 1. Blackington Captain's badge, model number HO-GLO 98. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Thank you again, Mrs. Davis. Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second? May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gordy. Was that you, Mr. Gordy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have the motion by Mr. Day, and we have the second by Mr. Gordy. Any comments or discussion? Okay. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lowe?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on the Parks and Recreation. We have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation for 60 2021 Club Car Tempo Gas EFI with car control from Lakewood Golf Course in an amount not to exceed $257,412.96. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the State of Alabama Examiners of Public Accounts has reviewed and approved the competitive bidding process used by Omnia Partners, formerly USA Communities. And whereas the City of Phoenix City desires to enter into a lease agreement with Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation to include 60 2021 Club Car Tempo Gas EFI with car control, their bid being a 40-month lease at $4,642.77. And whereas the GPS Connect option being an additional $720 per car per month. And whereas the City Council has reviewed said lease agreement submitted by Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation for a 48-month lease at $5,362.77 per month for a total payout of $257,412.96. And whereas the City Council finds the lease to be a necessity for the day-to-day operations of the Lakewood Golf Course. And now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama hereby authorizes and directs the mayor and city manager to sign such agreement with Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation in an amount not to exceed $257,412.96. Passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August 2020.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Davis.
You're welcome.
We've heard the reading of this resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Day, and that's second, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
All right, we have the motion in second. It's 48-month lease. So any comments, discussion, or question?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I just realized this is a high dollar item here. It's $257,412.96. And that's going to be, that's a saving involved in that for the 2 years. Can somebody elaborate on that for the citizen and for me, please?
Mr. Day, I'm gonna let Mike Barber, our golf course manager, explain to you, but this is a 48-month lease, so that's 4 years that we're dealing here. It's not a 2 years, 4 years.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Mike explain some of that to you.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Mr. Day? Good morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
As far as the 48-month lease, I'm not sure. I'm having trouble. I didn't get the full question, but
that's what I was asking. That was a tremendous saving for the city of Phoenix City and the golf course.
Any savings? Well, as far as the savings go, with them being part of the U.S. Communities and Omni Partners, they give us the lowest possible bid for our specifications.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike, excuse me, Mike, I think what Mr. Day is asking, what's the difference between the lease and the purchase? I think there was about $120,000 difference between us.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. Day. I didn't hear that. So this is just a standard fair market value lease where we turn the carts back in after 48 months. And then there's the other option on the lease is what's called a dollar buyout, where at the end of the 48 months, you get $1. And the difference between the dollar buyout lease and the fair market value lease was $126,000. So that would have increased our payments, our monthly lease payments by about $900 a month.
Okay, let me ask you this then. On this lease, does that include the maintenance on these carts?
The golf carts come with warranties. It will come with a 4-year warranty on all major components. Things that happen on the golf course, damage where someone might, bust a front axle or tear or wreck a golf cart, it's not covered under the lease. But the engine is covered under the lease, transmission, and the axles, the drive axles in the rear.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, Mayor, if I will, I know looking at this, it's a big purchase. or big lease. What this doesn't explain to y'all that we got with Mr. Hunter and Mr. Smith, if you notice on there, you got the cart control feature on there. What
you want me to talk about the cart control?
Yeah, if you will, just explain the cart control and the monitor and stuff that comes with that to help.
Okay. So on this golf cart, it's going to come with the Club Car Visage GPS package. And that package comes with 2 modules. And the modules are pretty much options that you can get with the package. So the carts will come with a 10-inch monitor on the golf carts. And the first module that we really felt like we needed was the car control. So what this allows us to do is go around the golf course and set up geo fences through the GPS. So when a cart enters an area on the golf course that's been tagged restricted, a message comes on the screen and the cart dies, it stops. So there's some nice safety features with that. So in the spring, we had a cart drive into the ditch on number 18. With this system, the cart will stop before it gets to the ditch.
Okay.
It will allow us to keep people from driving in the parking lot, hitting other golf car or hitting other, parked cars. More importantly, stops them from loading their own coolers full of beer and bringing those onto the golf course. It allows us to put restricted areas around the tees and the greens so people don't drive up on the tees and the greens. So it's a management tool. It also allows us to eliminate the volunteer marshals that we have at the golf course. So right now we have about 14 volunteer marshals, a morning marshal and an afternoon marshal. And they're volunteers and they receive discount golf and discount on their cart fees. And we're looking for ways to get away from that. So everyone is back to being charged the same to play golf. So that car control feature allows us to do that. The other feature with the Visage is called the player experience. And so on that 10-inch screen, a player will be able to see a graphic of the hole that they're playing. It'll show every golf cart that's in front of them so they know how far people are, so people aren't hitting into other people. But more importantly, it allows us to communicate with the golf cart. So we have a way to see the entire golf course from the pro shop. And it'll show where every golf cart is on the golf course. It'll tell us how long they've been out there. We can manage the pace of play, again, which kind of replaces the marshals. It also allows us to send messages. If we have inclement weather on the way, we can send a message out to one cart or to the entire fleet. It says, thunderstorm approaching, and get everyone in off the course before the lightning and the heavy rain gets here. It also would allow us to do some upselling. So when you can set trigger points on the golf course, say when they get to number 8 tee box, a message can pop up that says, hey, you're hungry for lunch? Order a hot dog and a Coke and put the phone number up. So we'll be able to increase our food and beverage sales. So there's a whole host of things that the player experience will allow us to do. But more importantly, it'll allow us, along with the car control, to keep people where they're not supposed to be. And I'll just leave you with just one example. 2 weeks ago, a cart got into the woods. People will drive through the woods, and a stick got hit underneath the cart, came through the floorboard. So those are things that we're responsible for repairing. So our maintenance costs should go down. With this big number, and I'll finish up. At most golf courses, your golf cart revenue is your second largest revenue line item. At Lakewood here, because the city is committed to putting out their really affordable golf on the green fees side and keeping green fees low, our cart revenue is our biggest revenue line item. And we'll average $26,000 a month in golf cart revenue. So the monthly number is a little larger than it would normally be, but that revenue is more than offset with the amount of play that we're having. I will also note that we're bringing in 5 additional carts. We have a cart fleet of 55 carts now. We're adding 5. During COVID, we're still at 1 cart per person. So it'll allow us to get more rounds out on the weekends. And then there are times throughout the years, y'all know that the city borrows carts for parades and other activities. And this will allow us to continue to help in those situations while still being able to get more people on the golf course and generate that revenue.
Thank you for explaining that to me and our citizen. I hope the citizen heard all that information. And to me, it seemed like a tremendous savings, you know, and modern technology. And I'm very impressed from what I heard. Thank you for that, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Mike and Todd. Council. Yes, sir.
I just a couple of questions real quick. I noticed that when I was reading through it, that it was a $2 increase in cart fees, but I think that had already been increased. So the cost using these new carts with this upgrade is still going to be cheaper than the other public courses around us, if I read all the information correctly. Also a question, when you ride off in one of those areas that the cart quits running, how do you get the cart back to the area? Who's responsible to get it back to the area to where it runs again? Do they push it back themselves or what?
No, sir. What happens is you start to approach a restricted area. So if you approach there's a huge ditch in front of number 1 green out here. It's a gully. It's 25 feet deep. As you approach that ditch, the cart will start to beep, and a message will come up on the screen, and it says you're about to enter a restricted area. If you pass the restricted area, the cart shuts off. Then the screen gives the message, please put the golf cart in reverse and return to a non-restricted area.
Good.
So it doesn't leave our golfers stranded out there, but it does prevent folks from hurting themselves, damaging the golf carts, or damaging the golf course. We had 2 carts almost in the lake over the last 2 months. And of course, that'll all be geo-fenced off. So we're certainly not going to leave anyone out there to carry their clubs back in.
Well, that was a question that I had. I kind of understood it that way, but I wasn't sure because I saw in your explanation that it said if you put it in reverse, you should be able to back out. But this is something that's very well needed up there because I know I've been playing golf up there off and on. Hadn't played in many years, but I played up there as a youngster and then through high school and teenagers and all. And I've seen many carts coming down where the driving range is now, running to the ditch, coming back towards the clubhouse, what used to be the old number 2, because the ditches, are not straight. They have ins and outs in them. They're crooked. And they'll be riding along looking for a golf ball and not paying attention where they're riding. And they ride right into that ditch. I have seen several people playing with us in groups to have done that before. So this is something that I'm just tickled to death that it's available and we have it. So it should speed up the play on the course by keeping everybody where they should be, and it should be a good safety factor with all the message boards that it has on it. So that's a job well done. One other question: I thought I saw on the email that the price of these changed from the 96 cents to 48 cents on the end of the $257,412. Did I see that on the email the other day where the price was wrong in the resolution?
Well, Mr. Bailey, I think what had happened is they had sent the standard quote they send has the 48-month lease, standard lease, and then a $1 buyout lease, and it kind of we didn't want to confuse everyone with that, so that $257,412.96 is the sum of all the 48-month payments.
Okay, so that is correct. Okay. Thank you.
And kind of to answer your other question on the golf cart fees, you know, our cart fees are $16 right now. Bull Creek is $21. We are by far so much more inexpensive. And so I don't believe that anything has been settled, Todd, and how that process happens with increasing the cart fees to make us still cheaper than everyone else, but not 20% cheaper than everyone else. I don't know when that's going to happen or when that discussion will take place, but you know, we're $16, and yeah, I look at municipal golf courses versus municipal golf courses, and even Indian Pines in Auburn, Opelika, $18, and $18 to $20 is the standard cart fee right now, and we're still at 16. So that's kind of where we're at there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody realized that we were still very, very, very competitive. It's still not the cheapest. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Council. Thank you, Mike and Todd. At this time, Council would like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis.
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Council proceeding on the Parks and Recreation. We have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and the city manager to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation for one Club Car 2021 carry-all 300 gas range cart for Lakewood Golf Course in an amount not to exceed $10,431.36. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the State of Alabama Examiners of Public Accounts has reviewed and approved the competitive bidding process used by Omnia Partners, formerly USA Communities. And whereas the City of Phenix City desires to enter into a lease agreement with Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation to include one Club Car 2021 carry-all 300 gas range cart for Lakewood Golf Course. And whereas one Club Car 2021 carry-all 300 gas range cart, their bid being a 48-month lease at $217.32. And whereas the City Council has reviewed said lease agreement submitted by Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation for a 48-month lease at $217.32 per month for a total payout of $10,431.36. And whereas the City Council finds the lease to be a necessity for the day-to-day operations of the Lakewood Golf Course. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama hereby authorizes and directs the mayor and city manager to sign such agreement with Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation in an amount not to exceed $10,431.36, passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August, 2020.
Council, we've all heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval. Motion to approve.
Motion.
This motion, Ms. Johnson, second, Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
We have the motion and second. Any comments or discussion, Council? Okay. If not, Mrs. Davis.
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on the Council on the Parks and Recreation. We have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation for two Club Car 2021 carry-all 300 gas for Lakewood Golf Course in an amount not to exceed $14,980.80. Mrs. Davis.
Whereas the State of Alabama Examiners of Public Accounts has reviewed and approved the competitive bidding process used by Omnia Partners, formerly USA Communities. And whereas the City of Phenix City desires to enter into a lease agreement with Cherry Pate Turf and Irrigation to include two Club Car 2021 carry-all 300 gas for Lakewood Golf Course. And whereas 2 club cars, 2021 Carry All 300 gas, their bid being a 48-month lease at $312.10. And whereas the City Council has reviewed said lease agreement submitted by Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation for a 48-month term at $312.10 per month for a total payout of $14,980.80. And whereas the City Council finds the lease to be a necessity for the day-to-day operations of Lakewood Golf Course. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the mayor and city manager are hereby authorized and directed to sign such agreement with Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation in an amount not to exceed $14,980.80, passed, approved, and adopted this 18th day of August, 2020.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Davis. Council, we heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Bailey, second, Mr. Day.
Fine, yeah.
Okay, we have the motion and second. Council, any comments or discussion? All right, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Proceeding on, council, on the ordinance. This is a second reading. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 82, Utilities, Article 3, Sanitary Sewer, Division 1 generally, Section 80, the definition and use of phrases of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Phenix City, Alabama. The first reading was on the 4th of this month. I am not going to ask the acting clerk to reread it. However, council, at this time, I'd like to call for a motion for the approval of this ordinance. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Gordon, second, Mr. Day.
That's right.
Okay. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
And next, council, on the license application, this is a first reading. It's an application for an off-premise beer license and off-premise wine license submitted by Deborah Miller, Family Dollar Stores of Alabama, LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store number 20296, located at 1113 East 280 Bypass, Phenix City, Alabama. We'll ask the acting clerk to proceed with the first reading. Mrs. Davis.
This is a business application for Family Dollar Stores of Alabama, LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store 20296. I have 3 memos. The first memo coming from the Phenix City Police Department. It reads as follows. Reference Deborah Miller, Family Dollar Stores of Alabama, LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store 20296, 1113 East 280 Bypass, Phenix City, Alabama 36867. I have reviewed these applications for off-premise beer and off-premise wine licenses, and I have no objections to the issuance of these licenses to the applicant based upon her criminal background investigations. Sincerely, Phenix City Police Department, Raymond Smith, Chief of Police. The second memo reads as follows. Dear Ms. Lee, this letter is in reference to the application submitted by Family Dollar Stores of Alabama, LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store 20296, located at 1113 East Highway 280 Bypass, for off-premise beer and off-premise wine licenses. An inspection for life safety and fire code violations was conducted at this location July 29th, 2020. This business was observed as meeting fire code requirements for this type of occupancy. Sincerely, James Marcus Wells, Fire Marshal. Third memo reading as follows. Dear Ms. Lee, this letter is in reference to the application submitted by Deborah Miller, of Family Dollar Stores of Alabama LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store, 20296, located at 1113 East 280 Bypass, for off-premise beer and off-premise wine licenses. This facility meets the building code requirements. This office has no objections to the approval of these licenses. Sincerely, Ray Rogers, Deputy Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Council, we have all heard the first reading. At this time, I'd like to call for motion for the approval to place on first reading. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right. Motion, Mr. Gordon. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, we have the motion and second. At this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Davis.
Thank you.
I would like to turn over to our attorney, Jim McCoon. Mr. McCoon?
Yes, sir. There's a claim that has been filed by David Dollar. It involves a tree that fell and damaged some fencing on his property. I've talked with Mr. Graham about this, who couldn't be here today, and also consulted with Mr. Patillo in engineering and went over the claim. This is my understanding of this is that this tree has had some disease and rot in it, and that's the reason it fell and damaged the fence. And because of that, and because the city had no prior notice of the problem with the tree, we'd recommend that the claim be denied.
Okay. Council, we've heard the recommendation from our attorney. At this time, Council, I would like to ask for a motion for the approval of that recommendation. May I have a
Motion to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gordon. Okay. Call for the vote. Mrs. Davis?
Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Abstain.
Councilmember Gordy,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Council, so very, very much. I know we've been on here a while, but we got to be about the people's business, and I certainly thank you all and respect you all for doing this so diligently. At this time, Council, is there anything anyone would like to say? Council?
Briefly, if I may, Mayor, and yes, the time has been well spent, but I would like to congratulate our employees for their number of years of service and their commitment to the city. It really means a lot when we can acknowledge them and hear how hard they work. So thank you again for your loyalship and your commitment to our city, one of the greatest cities ever. And also just, I heard different stories on yesterday about the school starting back, whether it was in classroom instructions or virtual schooling. But, you know, our school finished out this year in a pandemic, which is unprecedented. And also starting back in the same way. And I just, my heart just pours out to our students, our teachers, administrators, and all those stakeholders that make up our school system. But we wish, I do, and on behalf of the council, I believe you wouldn't mind if I say that we wish our school systems, Russell County, Phenix City, Smith Station, all the surrounding school system, the very best and in the safest environment possible. Because again, we're all in this together, but I know that there will be new steps toward a greater future for our community, for our state, our nation, and the world when this pandemic goes away. So we wish you all the very best, and we are here for you. And if there's anything that we can do to make your load lighter, just let us know. I'm here for you, my constituents in District 2. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to remind the citizens, don't forget to vote on next Tuesday. Just very important to everyone. Also, I'd like to take the opportunity, didn't get that opportunity yesterday, to wish Miss Biggie Carter Johnson, belated birthday, and may everything go well with her the rest of the week. And I also want to again thank the employees that served so diligently here in our city throughout all those years. As they were saying, those 25 and 30 years, Mayor, came, my mind went back to when I was working and did almost 34 years. It's a blessing to be able to do those number of years and yet and still able to come out and do something else, some of the things that you really want to do. And I just want to thank those citizens for serving our citizens and for doing the work here in our city. And I think all of them, they are doing a good job because they're still here in the city of city workforce. And also want to special thank goes out to I think Mr. Andy that served at the fire station, our fire department. He's been there a long time, and I believe he came, as he stated, during the time Mr. Hunter was involved, and I'm sure they worked together. Well, a special thank go out to you, Mr. Andy. Also, lastly, Mayor and Council, I have received a lot of positive feedback on the Arthur Summary Memorial Parkway down there on 5th Street South. I say to those folks that it's look real good, it look real nice, and let us continue to keep it looking that way. And I say to them, I said this many a time when I had the opportunity. I dare take no credit for doing that. It goes out again to Mr. Hunter, the engineer department, all those that are involved. I just represent that area down there, which I'm proud and honored to do. One other thing I'd like to say to our citizens out there, let us keep our city clean. Let us not throw trash and stuff outside our cars as we pass through our cities and streets. Let's try to help. It takes everyone in the city to try to keep our city clean. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? Not. Mr. Hunter, anything you want to say?
No, sir.
Well, again, to the council and to the department head, we certainly appreciate you all. Thank you all for what you do. And as our prayers say, let's continue to be unified. Let's continue to do it internally, because if we don't do it internally to be unified, it's certainly hard to do it externally with our customer, which is our responsibility. Thank you all so much. Thank CTV Bean for bringing this to our citizens of Phenix City. And may God continue to bless all of us in this community. And I pray that you all have a great rest of today. Thank you all so much, Council. Have a good one.